Hey everybody, welcome back to the Waffle House. This is Dan here, and I'm speaking with my brother Joe. Say hi, Joe.
Hello.
We're here on this episode talking primarily about the review on the movie Godzilla versus King Kong, which came out only recently. Yeah, and I think it's about time that we dig into this. It came out a few days ago, HBO Max and other cinemas, certain cinemas that are open. And a tiny bit of history on this movie. I believe it would be the fourth in the franchise, with Gareth Edwards's Gareth Edwards's Godzilla coming out in 2014, then
So you
2017.
got to give me a clue here because actually I
Yeah,
think I went into this not knowing it was any part of any franchise.
yeah, no,
So
no, 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 fine,
very
fine.
confusing for me.
Yeah, that's fine. This is just sort of, I guess this is just sort of Warner Brothers' new monster verse that fans are calling it. That slight, it's only slightly attached to the previous films, but because it's been a different director and I think a different producer each time, so the directions has definitely certainly changed. But
Okay, so the first one was just Godzilla, and that was 2014. Who
yeah,
was in
with
that? Anyone we know?
Brian Cranston was in it. It did
Ah,
well.
yeah.
It did do quite well actually. It was kind of, if we're just taking a microscopic look at that film, it got a bit of critique because it spent about, let's say, 2 hours of the full movie with about 30 minutes of Godzilla and a
Right.
lot of acting. But Brian Cranston, he really did hold it together for the film. So it was
Yeah, yeah.
great.
He's a great actor.
So yeah, so 3 years later, 2017, we all got Skull Island, which was based on just King Kong. Um, with, can't think of his name, but he was Loki
Oh,
in.
Tom Hiddleston.
There you go, yeah. And I think Captain Marvel, forgot her name too.
Um,
Comes
yeah.
much later. Anyway, it did kind of well, and then only 2 years later, in 2019, we then get Godzilla King of Monsters, which it did all right. I think arguably it did the worst if you look at the sort of critical reviews and then box office sort of
Yeah.
uh,
Brie Larson.
there you go. Yeah, that's it. Right, that's it.
Brie
In
Larson was in the
Skull Island.
second. It was in King Kong.
Yeah, in Skull
Oh,
Island.
did we know at the time that they were in the same universe?
Yeah, kind of. They've all had these sort of similar to Marvel kind of post scenes that kind of link them together. Actually, yeah. So they
Post
were
credit
kind of warmed up.
sequence.
Yeah, yeah. And then 2021, we go and get in
Oh, so
March.
sorry, number three. So no, you got to go back. Sorry, I got stuck on Brie Larson. So number
Sorry,
three was
then
who?
the third one was Godzilla King of Monsters, which was
Okay.
2019.
And what happened in that? Who was in that? Do you remember?
Uh, actors wise, okay,
Yeah.
so
Apart
oh
from
god,
Godzilla,
I
Godzilla
want
as
to I want to
himself.
I want to call the girl Millie Bob Thornton. That's wrong.
No, Millie Bobby Brown.
There you go. So she was in it then. So she started from the previous film. This is a follow on.
Oh,
Yeah. So this is a story arc of her. This is a follow on from that. Her mum has a very Italian name. I can't remember it. She was in The Departed. I'm sure you're on it right now, hopefully on your one of your devices, Joe.
Vera Farmiga.
That's it. She was in The Departed. And her dad was the same actor who's in this film, who's the type of dad that finds
Oh
out that
God,
you're in
yeah.
trouble. He finds out that you're in trouble and your life's at stake and the world's at stake the very, very last minute, and where it really counts, and he kind of steps in. It's a bit too late, sort of thing. He has that role in this film, and he had that role in the last film.
Right.
But this 2021 version, being Godzilla versus Kong, I thought it was quite good. As a standalone film person, I thought it was quite good. I'm gonna throw it at you first. Now I've given the warm up. I'll give you, as since you're a freshie, see what your review was.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure I saw the Cranstons number one. So the Brian Cranston Godzilla movie. Um, pretty sure I saw that and quite liked it. I don't think I saw Skull Island, the King Kong movie. I don't think I saw that. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen that, and I definitely
Didn't
haven't
miss
seen
much.
the third one with Godzilla King of Monsters. Haven't seen that, so I went into this
Mm.
kind of fresh, and I thought to myself when I was watching it, this has got to be a sequel because there are so many references, so little
Yeah.
character development, only that Yeah, I really hated it.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh, fair,
When you
fair,
said
fair.
you
No, fair
said you
enough.
liked it, I was like, oh dear, I
No,
did
no,
not
no.
enjoy
This is
this
good.
film.
This is good. No, this is good. This is only the third movie that we've reviewed, but it's about time for a disagreement. We've both
Yeah,
kind of agreed on the last two films. That's fine.
yeah.
Okay, carry on, carry on.
So I didn't understand. So I think a lot of the things I didn't like, in fairness, are because I didn't see the previous movies, but I did not like the casting.
Okay.
So basically, I guess it's hard for them because they were putting together two groups of cast, right? They were putting the King Kong cast up against the Godzilla cast. So not only have you got the two big monsters, you've got their sort of like the supporting act of the big monsters
Yeah.
doing their thing going around. And I thought neither group were that interesting or compelling. Like I didn't really care. I was more interested probably in the Godzilla side. Sorry, the King Kong's side of the story. Oh, by the way, we should say this, like spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
we're gonna
yeah.
talk we're
That'll
gonna
be
talk a
in
lot
the
about the film.
thumbnail as well. So we're all good.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was like I thought the casting was strange. Like Millie Bobby Brown in this film was weird. She hangs around with a guy, that kid from Deadpool, and he's been in a few other things. That the Kiwi actor, the young guy,
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
not a massive like he's yeah. I'm not his biggest fan in some movies.
Mm.
Nothing against him, but I just think he's kind of been cast as the same type of character quite a lot, like
Mm.
a bit of a cocky, smart mouth.
Light-hearted, make everyone feel okay.
Yeah,
About
yeah, anyways, certainly in the movies I've seen him in, that he's not like.
like,
I know
oh,
he's a
what's
young
this
guy.
button do? That type of guy that makes everything
Yeah,
like
just a
less
bit too.
tension. Yeah.
Yeah, a little, just a bit too cocky. And then the adult they were going around with, who I can't remember the. I
I
certainly don't remember.
fully agree with what I think you're about to say. What if
He
that
was
guy is such a klutz?
just not funny at all.
Yes.
Just so unfunny. Like he was given a ton of lines to say that were just like in the moment. If you could think of something that was like a cheesy Hollywood line,
Yeah.
that's what he would say every single time.
I wrote in my notes, I think it's the best time to say this now. You said so. Human characters hard to care about. Guy with kids is lame. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's what I remembered from that.
He was really lame, and it was just stuff. I don't know. It was just stuff like when he was, like for example, when they were they're at the end, they were like one of the things they're going to do is like turn off the satellite. They were going to crack the password for it, and the guy was like, "Oh, have you ever done any coding? I've just done HTML." It was like, "Oh my god, this is just like." I think if you're into coding, that's a pretty lame joke. If you're not into coding, you haven't got a clue what they've just said.
Well, then it's gone over your head. It's one or the other. It's
So
lame,
either goes over
or
your
it's
head
gone
or
over
it's
your
not
head.
funny.
Yeah.
It's a bad joke, and I don't. It's not necessarily the acting of all of them, but it's the types of characters they're being asked to play. Because I don't want to slag off
Yeah.
it. I don't want to slag off like a kid actor. That's not funny or fair. But I just don't think it. I don't think the script was very good at all. The other thing I was going to say is the bit where the Godzilla, that there's that young girl who doesn't speak, but she does speak. She speaks in sign language.
Yeah.
The fact that she somehow in that, so they're keeping King Kong in like some monitoring chamber that's not massive, but it's a chamber where they've got cameras and stuff.
In the beginning of the film.
In the beginning, yeah, the beginning of the film,
yeah.
And then later on in the film, so they take him out of the chamber, blah blah blah, and there's some tension. Then there's a scene later on where they're on a boat and he's kicking off, and the deaf girl. Yeah, I think she's definitely the
the extremely sweet, adorable deaf girl that you're about to be really, really harsh about. Yeah, carry on.
That one, yeah, she can stand by. Somehow in this chamber where they monitor movies, somehow she develops a secret. She secretly teaches him sign language, and they never pick up on it. They never learn about that. They only find out about it in public. I'm like, when would they have had the opportunity? When is that young girl who's like can't be older than 10 years old being left alone long enough with this like King Kong for them to learn with no adult supervision so they can learn sign language?
Yeah, that was a plot hole. If within that dome, if you're telling me that they didn't pick up on that on their cameras and the surveillance.
Or if you're telling me that they don't, fair enough, maybe they haven't got enough cameras. But you're telling me that that kid snuck out and just hanging out with King Kong, slowly teaching him sign language.
Yeah, that was that. They used that. Yeah, sure. They used that as a bit of a shock scene to show at that time that she had such a close and shocking connection to Kong than anyone
And it
else.
made Kong a lot more human.
It was a nice, yeah. It was one of those. To me, it was one of those Hook scenes that always got me from Peter, as in Hook, Peter Pan. And oh, you really are Peter Pan. That it was a bit of an emotional connection. A little sweet kid to the hero.
Yeah, you might have found it sweet. I just couldn't believe my eyes.
I won't. Yeah, so I won't lie. I understand what you're
popcorn on my
saying
screen.
now. No, but now you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, that does make sense. But I was a little bit hooked at that scene. I have to admit.
Oh, you liked
Actually,
it?
I just yeah. It flew straight by me.
okay.
What you said, it flew
that's
straight
good.
by me. But fair enough. Yeah, no, it was good for me. Not.
I don't want you to not enjoy it. I'm not trying to take it. If you enjoyed the film, that's fine. But when I was watching it, I was like, how on earth is that? What a load of crap this is.
Yeah.
And although, okay, so on the positive side, I thought both monsters, Godzilla, all of the monsters, but Godzilla and King Kong especially, they did look amazing.
If we're getting into this, okay, so I have a few things to say. Most of my opinions have sort of been drawn out from what you've said in the response to what you've said. But their first fight, which you're all waiting for, obviously, is between King Kong and Godzilla. It was
Is
very
this the one
interesting.
on the boats?
Yeah, it was very interesting, but it was quite frustrating because who wants to see it? It kind of felt like two drunk guys fighting on boats, on like paddle boats, and they're like kind of standing like, if you and I went to like the leisure pool back in the day and there's like 5 floats and we're trying to stand on them and lie lows and fight each other, you're not really
messy. It's just a mess.
You're not catching our best attributes. You're right. So I remember as I was watching it thinking, this is really silly. And I remember also I was
like they spend more energy trying to get back on the boat than they are actually swinging at each other. It's more tiring.
Yeah,
swimming is more tiring.
There was a scene, I think, where Kong thud his foot down on one of the aircraft carriers, and he made a lot of damage to show how heavy and strong he was. Then later on in the film, at the end of that fight, a few minutes later, he then throws his whole body onto it to rest, and there wasn't like a single crack. And I was thinking, well, that you kind of flip-flop between how strong this aircraft carrier is as to 2 minutes ago. He only threw his foot on it. But I'm thinking, oh, am I being too mean, or am I right, or was this scene just really, a bit not, I can't think of the word right now, but are they just
bit of weird continuity.
Yeah, they're just a bit off on that.
Maybe.
Back to the humans. The thing that frustrated me the most out of them was that there were 2 separate stories running, and they were asking us to care a lot about one mecha story, which was Millie. So is it Millie Bobby Brown? They're asking us to care so much about Millie Bobby Brown and the guy and the younger guy, that trio, who act to me felt very disconnected from the film. I don't know about you, but I thought that they were
in a different film. The two blokes with Millie Bobby Brown felt like they're in a different movie. They were in a cheesier comedy.
Yeah. So
like she was. I certainly don't hate her. Definitely don't hate her. But I'm not I enjoy watching her in stuff. Like she's good in Stranger Things. I think she's good in the Sherlock Holmes movie. So anyway, in no way but anyway, in this movie, I wasn't a big fan of her character at all.
Yeah,
but especially so. Sorry, agreeing with your point. The other two, she was way better than the other two. She was way less annoying than the other two.
Yes.
It was like 2 clowns hanging out with each other.
Yeah. A little bit like horrible bosses, which is so strange when again, can't think of the actor's name, but there's one guy holding it together, and there's 2 clowns just talking nonstop a little bit. Second fight, however, I thought was a lot better.
Ed Helm is the straight guy.
Yeah, and then you got Charlie Day, and then the other guy. I want to say, oh my God, I can't remember his name.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, second fight was it was much better. However,
Where was
I've
so
got
where was the second fight then?
that's the one that took place in Hong Kong at night time, and then the third fight I think was still Hong Kong in the daytime. So second fight was
the second one Kong won.
pretty sure second fight was when Kong was sent to the center of the earth, picks up that hammer that protects him from Godzilla's
is that
blast.
it was an axe, wasn't it?
Axe, that's the one. So then they open up another temple.
Was that the second fight?
Pretty sure. That's how
Ah.
I remember it. Anyway, so their second fight was after that, and it was in Hong Kong at nighttime, and you saw the bamboo shaped building and the IFC, which you and I know a lot about. I thought it was great visually. It was just a lot more satisfying. You wanted to see them thrown around in buildings, but oh my God, how much damage was done to Hong Kong and how many people were either hurt or killed. There's no way that less than 5,000 people were not killed.
Completely agree.
In a strange way, but oh my God, the amount of damage.
Yeah, because it was completely unprotected. It's not like you could say empty Hong Kong because you and I've been there. You can't. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, there was one point where there was one point where they pretty much jogged, or as they were punching each other, jogged to another district, which was like central to Kowloon.
Yeah, there's just no way anyone's safe.
Where the people were just still shopping in Mongkok and they were just jumping all over each other, falling on the floor. There's a lot of dead people in this film.
It's for sure. Yeah, the body count in that fight was a lot.
But visually, I thought that was quite satisfying.
And at that point, actually, you're thinking to yourself, who the hell are they protecting us from? They're because both teams that were like looking after their monsters, not looking after them, but like had an interest in their monsters, saw them as the good guy.
Yeah.
Millie Bobby Brown's team and Rebecca Hall is the actress. The older the lady who's with the King Kong team. Alexander Skarsgård, isn't it as well?
We'll call him Tarzan, but yeah.
Yeah, Tarzan was it too. Is that related? Is he like Tarzan's nephew? Is this part of the same monsterverse?
Oh, I see where you're going. It's probable.
His character was rubbish as well. He just came across like such a douche.
Yeah. What was it that he had in common with the girl? What was the joke? The running joke was that he's a coward.
So,
that was it.
Yeah, she called him a coward not behind his back, to his face, but he didn't understand it. And then Rebecca Hall translated it to him and said, "Yeah, she thinks you're really brave." And then later on, he does that.
So he was lied to. He was absolutely lied to. He's not the fool of the film. There's no one. No one. He did. I'm not to be rude, but the average person does not have a grasp on American Sign Language of all sign language, because apparently each sign language country to country is quite different. So American Sign Language, if Rebecca Hall, who was an American that taught it to this girl, or learnt it from this girl, from this Skull Island, so he had no grasp of Skull Island or American Sign Language, which was already an ask.
Yeah.
And we as an audience had to believe that he was a bumbling fool for believing that sign language was coward. That was brave rather than coward.
Yeah. So we were supposed to think he was stupid because he didn't know sign language.
Basically, every white guy in a shampoo advert, or not shampoo advert, but sort of home fragrance advert in the UK these days, who has to be the bumbling fool.
Wow,
getting a bit political. Getting a bit political.
Wow, you went there.
I got one last big comment that I want to make on this film is that
go on.
It's a note that I made, so obviously it was quite serious at the time. The tech that they use far. So you didn't watch the previous films, but it far beyond the tech of the previous movies.
What do you mean the tech? As in the
those spaceships?
Oh, right. So they didn't have any of that before?
No. It was pretty much 2019 as it was. And then all of a sudden, we've gone to 2021 and there's hovercraft. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see like I said, I didn't see the prequels, but that's really stupid.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another thing I guess that you didn't know that's quite interesting that you should know. The previous film, which was 2019, which was Godzilla King of the Monsters, the main antagonist was King Ghidorah, who was the kind of dragon with three heads.
Right.
And at the very end of the film, a little bit like the Marvel cutscenes, they added a scene where King Ghidorah got killed, but they kept one head, and it was one of those evil human companies, Monarch or whatever.
Oh, and that's what they used for the mech.
Yes, they used its brain, and its brain somehow magically overrode the Japanese guy's mind.
Yeah.
Which that was kind of interesting because it gave a bit more life to Mecha Godzilla. It was like, oh, okay, this is actually kind of being controlled by an actual evil monster. So it's like, all right, fair enough, because that gave something. Because Ghidorah died a little bit too. If it dies every movie, if you're introduced to a bad guy every movie and they die at the end, sometimes it gets a bit like wishy-washy, I guess. And so he kind of lived on.
Yeah, it's quite boring if they're just there. It's just like, oh, new bad guy, kill the bad guy. New bad guy, kill the bad guy.
What did you make of the CGI
for the movie? I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Did you?
Even the mecha then? Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was all right. Yeah. Definitely for Godzilla and for King Kong was really good. Maybe I didn't focus. Did you not like the one on the mecha?
Oh no, I did. Did you watch the trailer before you watched this film?
No, I didn't know.
So I did, and it lived up to it, I thought. They showed a tiniest bit of the mecha on the third final trailer, which was only 2 weeks before the release.
Right.
Because they didn't want to give that away. Yeah, no, I was impressed. I actually thought
the CGI was pretty good. Yeah. No, I thought the CGI was good. I thought the buildings blowing up was actually felt pretty realistic, as in, as realistic as it possibly can do, given what you're supposed to believe you're watching.
Yeah.
Overall, even the scenes on the water when they were doing scenes on the on the boat and stuff, it looked like real water. Like everything, I thought everything looked pretty good. To be fair.
Yeah. It was one of those things, though. Again, from the previous films, when they fire missiles at Godzilla, it very, very rarely does any damage to Godzilla. Yet they feel compelled as human beings to just fire those missiles because there's nothing else to do, which says nothing.
We need Godzilla to blow up some planes.
Yeah.
So let's give him some planes to blow up by getting them to fire rockets at him. I really I thought Godzilla was awesome. He was with his laser beam going. There was another thing. Godzilla somehow. So they had to go through this really wacky and weird space tunnel to get to the center of the Earth.
Oh, that's what I wanted to get onto. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So basically they had to go. Have you ever heard of the old movie Journey to the Center of the Earth?
I've heard of it. It's
like a really old film. It's the same sort of time as Phileas Fogg, and it's like a 1930s, 40s. It's like one of the first, not one of the first movies to be in color, but it was an early color movie. It's like
I thought you were talking about Harvey Dent. Can't remember his name right now, but the guy that played Harvey Dent played in the early 2000s. He did a film that went to the center of the Earth and he died and blah blah blah.
Well, it's probably based on. It's probably the same story, but they've redone it. So, Journey to the Center of the Earth is exactly as it sounds. You go to the center of the Earth, and it's all wacky and wonderful and amazing and cool. But I suppose the difference is when.
Sorry, it was Aaron Eckhart. Sorry.
Yeah, that guy with the incredible jaw. So, yeah, Journey to the Center of the Earth is basically very similar. It's like a magical, wonderful world in the center of the Earth, just like Kong saw when he went down there. But to get there, they had to use these magic spaceships that they've just come up with, that you pointed out that they've clearly just invented in the last year, which is incredible. Then they had to go through some weird time warp thing. Do you remember? Kong went into that tunnel. They lured him into that tunnel by saying your family might be down there.
Yeah.
And by the way, they weren't. They didn't think his family was down there. They lied to him.
There was a massive pterodactyl that looked nothing like him that was down there.
He almost got killed by everything down there.
The opposite to him was down there.
Yeah.
A hairless winged thing.
And nearly everything down there wanted to kill him. So that was, and that was the people who were supposed to be on his side.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. The story was just ridiculous. Yeah. So, but anyway, they had to go through there and they had to get him to navigate because they thought he would be able to work it out. Then there was this bit where they kind of felt like they warped through from one place to another. It was like really. Do you remember? They kind of like went into darkness and then really quickly, and then all of a sudden they popped
Yeah,
out the other end. So it was like
yeah.
almost like they went through some sort of wormhole. Anyway,
Mm-mm.
what did King Kong have to, sorry, not King Kong. What did Godzilla have to do? Just fire his massive laser beam mouth directly downwards and got there. I was like, what? What? Like, if it's that easy to get there, then what was all that nonsense before about the stupid?
If it's that easy for for Godzilla to do, I think he gets to take the king title as well. I think he's
Yeah,
King Godzilla. If that's it,
yeah,
that's as easy as that. Guy doesn't need an axe either. Some magic axe that he had to pick up.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know what you mean.
That was weird. I thought that was really strange. Um,
I
go
thought
on.
that scene just lingered. I thought
Which scene?
I didn't know where they were going with that scene. I
Which
thought
scene? Which scene? Which scene?
the scene where he went to the center of the earth, King Kong, and those magic spaceships with humans that were pushing and nudging him there. I honestly thought they were going to spend a lot more time, and I'm glad they didn't. But I thought they were going to spend a lot more time there saying, these are your roots. Yeah, as you said, I thought they were going to find some special connection for him. Okay, fine. It kind of lent there further in the
There were
film.
some big rocks that looked like monkeys.
Sure. But I just I found it weird how no one explained anything. They were all following him. They were like, "Oh, he'll magically know how to find some random thing. Oh, that random thing is an axe, and he's found it." It's
Yeah,
like, well, okay, so that felt like it got sped along at movie pace or at budget.
yeah,
Now that
yeah.
was that was strange. They didn't do that bit justice. I'd say, yeah.
I've got something else. A bit of a tangent, but another thing that I just thought was not necessary and weird for the film. They basically, do you remember there's that one character that's in the movie only because they're attractive?
The Latino who's the daughter of the main bad
Yeah,
guy.
I think the
Oh
actress
yeah.
name is like Elza Ieza. Ieza?
She was in Baby Driver, which I watched on the plane, which I regret.
Oh, that's a
Yes.
great film. That's an
Yeah.
amazing film.
I didn't. Okay. Oh, we also disagree on this, but okay.
Oh, what?
Ooh,
Sorry, so you liked Godzilla vs King Kong, which you've been, by the way, agreeing with everything I've slagged off about it for the past 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But you don't like Baby Driver. That's ridiculous. Anyway,
I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry, Joe, and for the listeners, but a certain person, Kevin Spacey, was in that film.
okay, yeah,
Has
fine.
to be
Okay, I don't
written
want to
about.
traumatize anyone who's.
No.
Yeah,
That's not
you were
the
good.
that is not the only reason. No, also I'll admit we're going off tangent, but it was a plain movie doesn't do it justice, and I just thought it was a little sped through. But anyway, that's all I know her from. We continue, sorry.
Isa Gonzalez. Isa? Sorry, I said her name wrong, but good. Nothing wrong with her as an actress. I really like Baby Driver. Didn't realize she was in it, but cool. But literally, I think her role in that movie was to look attractive. Like, doesn't matter what happened to them. She turned up. Didn't feel like for very much reason, other than she happened to be related to the guy who ran that company. Was she in the
Yeah.
previous films?
No, no.
Right.
Neither
Okay.
was
So
he, and
yeah.
neither
So
was
she.
he, by the way.
So okay, that was another surprise character for everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, and she basically was there to babysit them, did a bit of stuff, like make sure that the company cut and run when the company got what the company wanted, all that sort of
Yep.
shit. But they'd get like blown up. They'd be like thrown around, all over the place. They handed her a sick bag at one point because it was going to be such a rough journey. Do you remember? It was like, oh, here's a sick bag. It's going to be really rough, and it was really rough. It was like they were
Yeah.
thrown around the place. 2 seconds later, you look at her; she's like perfect makeup and hair. So I was like, come on, give that credit, give the character a bit more credit. Maybe just rough them up a little, make them look like they've been through somewhere, just not this very striking and attractive woman there
Sure.
for what felt like very little reason.
This might sound very sexist, but
Oh, here we bloody go.
one thing that reminded me of her was a little bit of I can't remember her name, but the female antagonist in Goldeneye. It was just this incredibly attractive woman that had to die. She was a bad guy and she had to die, and I was like, no,
On a top.
oh no, oh no.
On the top.
Yeah.
It was something on the top, wasn't it? Maybe.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, and then I'm thinking, why am I justifying this? She's bad and she's done a lot of bad, and but she yeah, there was that. That was that. Yeah, can't explain.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I suppose at least in a Bond movie, you kind of She was like one of the main villains in that movie. She had stuff to do. Honoka had an
Yeah,
story arc, and had a, she had a, like, secret special moves where she would kill the guy in a special way,
there was more justice to her death. Yeah,
and she was
and
more
and
interesting. She
her
had way
death
better
was
lines.
being crushed by a helicopter pulled up into a tree, whereas which was way less heroic technically than being blown up in a spaceship that doesn't exist by a monkey that doesn't exist, who also didn't really do anything that heroic as a bad person, as a bad guy either, as a villain. So yeah, yeah, I'm with you. That
It was
it
so
is.
weird. Yeah, she did. He just crushed it, didn't he? Did he crush it, or did he like smash it with his axe
Yeah,
or something?
it's actually quite
Basically,
satisfying.
swatted them out of the sky.
Now I think about it, yeah. She got her way and she left people behind and showed her sort of true colors. And as she was on her way out, he grabbed it and he was like, fuck off, and just crushed it with his hand. And she went, no. Actually, yeah, I was, yeah,
You like that
yeah,
then?
that
You thought it
worked.
was a good death?
Yeah, it's taken me a while, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also, can I ask you, was that Japanese guy the Japanese guy who controlled the mech monster? So basically the big bad against
Mm.
Godzilla and King Kong is this mech monster who loses control. If we already
Yeah.
said it, but just to recap, was that Japanese guy in any of the previous movies?
No, he wasn't, but he was I read
They
up
made
that
out
he
like he
was.
had some backstory, like he was some cool guy.
Yeah, so but I think he was written in as Ken. I might say this name
Ken
wrong.
Watanabe.
Yes, he was in the previous two films, not Skull Island, but the Godzilla ones. The first Godzilla 2014,
I like Ken
then
Watanabe.
2019 Godzilla King of Monsters. He was he was a good guy. He was very conflicted. He was a professor that wanted to find Godzilla, but he was always trying to do the right thing. And he died like a hero. He died sending a nuclear missile to wake up Godzilla when they needed him. So he had a
Right.
really, really good story. But they wrote this guy in as his son, who didn't really grow up around his dad, but knew about the story and just felt really, really bitter about how he lost his dad. So he was
Right.
so happy to just take him down at any means. Yeah. So his story
That's
was
terrible.
there.
That's absolutely awful.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of, yeah, it just shows, it kind of just shows his disconnect to his dad, and then therefore, yeah, it's not that believable. I didn't feel that convinced by
So his
that
dad,
connection.
did he like his dad or did he not like his dad?
They never showed him in the previous films, and he would have been alive. So they obviously wrote him in really late. Um, they basically you're being trusted. They've the movies the movies have trusted you to just believe that you'll understand he was in the
Doesn't like Godzilla.
background. Yeah, that he was in the background, and that he thought his dad was getting carried away in the first place, and that he probably already had a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Yeah, and that grew with the fact that he died for Godzilla.
I feel like this movie follows. I know that it's got Godzilla in it, so it's going to have an Asian influence, but I feel like there's a trend of movies recently, and you can almost tell from the trailers the type of movies that I'm referring to because they've got lots of CGI and it's big action, big budget. They've got some really big names in there, but it's definitely going to be a shit film. That basically get financed by like China to show either scenes in China or show China in a good light or Chinese people in a good light.
Mm.
Now and you and I, like, we've said before, we're like half Chinese, so there's no issues like on that front. But it does
Mm.
feel like one of those movies where it's like some Chinese companies just plowed a bunch of money in.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Funny enough, you say that Zhang Ziyi, she's like one of the most famous Chinese actresses. She was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Very
Right.
youthful face. She was in the
Oh yeah.
she was in King of Monsters, the previous 2019 one, but she just didn't make it to this one. I probably said her name wrong, but she is extremely famous for China. She's probably on her way out, if anything, but she is
Yeah.
still quite
I know
youthful.
that.
Okay. Mm.
Yeah, she looks really young. She's like 42 and looks
Yeah. But
about
she
90.
she was in King of Monsters only in 2019.
Right.
I don't know what they just had a shift with this movie. Maybe they had enough Japanese and US funding to think, okay, nah, who knows.
Well,
But
they still went to Hong Kong.
true. Maybe that was the funding that they needed without having to cast a Chinese person. Who knows?
Yeah.
I would still give this a strong 3 out of 5 stars if I was giving it out of 5. That's what I'd
Okay.
say.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. You enjoyed it. I mean, and that's cool. I think I would have to go for like a 2. A 2, and I think a lot of its redeeming characters, or the redeeming side of this movie, the monsters themselves, as in like they were pretty cool to watch. They looked as realistic as you could. Like King Kong really looked like you saw him walking, and you're like, oh yeah, cool. That's exactly how King Kong would walk. It's like, yeah.
So would that literally translate to 40% if you were giving it percentage?
Correct. Good maths. Yeah.
Just checking. Good.
Yeah.
Just seeing if you were to flip flop there. Oh, you know, fair enough. I think I think my ratings. I think that's what I felt just after watching it, and that still stands after about 4 or 5 days. Yeah.
Cool.
I think they did well. But I agree with you. The problem is they don't seem to deal with the human characters that well. And here's the thing: you missed the two films in the middle, being Skull Island and King of Monsters. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I think you agree with is that the original Godzilla dealt with the humans quite well, and they were. I mean, Bryan Cranston is he's a different league compared to any of the actors in this film. And they had Aaron Taylor Johnson, who was up and coming. Who's, to be fair, you could almost, I don't know if he's A-list, but
he's like the American Tom Hardy.
Oh no, he's British. Trying to think what he. Yeah. Trying to think what he did. He was the really fast guy in the Marvel films. I think.
I know. I think he looks like Tom Hardy.
Yeah, kind of. But he's British. But that film, and then Watanabe was in it as well as Brian, and that was just a really good film. Gareth Edwards is a good director as well. To be fair, I think he did a really good punt at Star Wars Rogue One.
Yeah.
So if you're just putting those two things together, I just think that the human touch in this was as bad as the King of Monsters and Skull Island. It was like characters that you kind of just felt, these are a bit annoying. Where's the monsters? Come on. Whereas the first film, there's a lot of comments and reviews saying, "Oh, could have done a bit more with Bryan Cranston. The monsters were amazing when Godzilla was introduced, but could have done with a bit." I'm so annoyed that Bryan Cranston got killed when he did. Which shows that they were really onto something with the script and the character. Like that's if you can do that, I mean, that's kind of important, I think. But yeah,
I don't think Bryan Cranston would do those types of films. Like
anymore.
I think they gave him a ton of money to do that, and he said, "Yeah, fine, but you're killing me off."
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it could have been one of those things. Like, one picture deal. So yeah. Highly possibly.
Yeah, I don't want to get roped into many movies like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're probably right there. All right. Well, cool. Coming into the end now, guys. So let us know what you think about it, this movie. We've given our my 3 out of 5, and Joe's given his 2 out of 5 stars.
Generous 2 out of 5.
Yeah, very generous. Let us know what you think, if you massively disagree or agree, depending on if it's with my opinion or Joe's. Let us know in the comments, like and subscribe, and let us know what you want to hear about next. We're open for anything, mainly movies, but stuff in the news too. Ciao for now.
Bye.